already know what it is. Myself, Omega Axel, aka Unafa, back once again putting in the ancestors' work. What's good? Wagwan. What's going down for the live and locked in fam? First thing I have to say, as always, peace and more powers to each and every single one of the patrons. Yo, listen, if it was not for you, of course, we would not be here right now. So thank you very much for your time, attention, and focus. Now we are back once again to do an exclusive reading straight off the library. And it's coming straight out of the YUSA guide. This is probably going to be one of the last readings that we do out of the YUSA guide for the Patreon, because I feel like we've gone through quite a few parts of this now. And as you can see, we got quite a few books on here, so there's lots of things that we can get into. But I hope you're good, hope you're blessed, I hope you're feeling nice. Wherever you are in the world right now, thank you for tuning in. Your attention is appreciated. For those who don't know, if this is the first time that you're tuning in to one of the recorded readings and you've not heard of the YUSA guide before, the link is going to be at the bottom, so kind of click it up, and whilst you're listening, have a look, read through the reviews and actually see what people are saying about the book. Don't just take my word for it, because it's going to be extremely biased. You don't know I'm going to tell you to go and get involved with it. But today I was flicking through some of the content that I've actually already put up, and I was considering, well, you've covered a lot from the mind section, you've covered quite a bit from the spirit section, you haven't really touched on anything to do with the body. So today I feel it is important that we talk about something straight out of the body section, and we're going to talk about food in particular, because I believe that in this conscious awakening, something which is so massively overlooked and undervalued in importance is the nutritional value of the food that we're eating, and the importance of actually fueling our body correctly. And I believe that a lot of people take advantage of the fact that we have access to convenience food. All things within balance is suitable, it's cool. You have to find that balance, otherwise you're going to find yourself as the abuser, probably going to end up with some type of chronic illness, and you will end up being part of the rapidly uncontrollable statistics, which you can find simply by tapping your fingers into Google quickly. So the section that we're actually going to cover, we're going to cover the factory farming industry. Okay, we're also going to cover some statistics about the factory farming industry. I also feel it's important to talk about the overconsumption of pork. I believe we as YUSA have been talking about this for quite a long time, and I believe at the beginning of 2017 the World Health Organization, WHO, announced that processed meats, bacon and other red meats being up there at the top of the list of up there on the top of the list for carcinogens. Carcinogens, for those who don't know, means things that cause cancer. So that's an important section for us to go into. And I feel I think I said I was going to cover one more. I'm going to cover the metaphysical concept of the animal product industry and kind of what that does on a spiritual level. So I don't want to waste too much time. I'm going to get straight into it. So factory farming in the animal product industry. Here are some major facts around the meat and dairy industry that are never mentioned by the mainstream and are often suppressed unless one decides to delve deeper and personally research these subjects. This information is not intended to force anybody or manipulate one's opinion around the consumption of animal products. This book is all about self-betterment and building foundation for enhancing one's life, and the truth is that to live optimally, no other being needs to be harmed. I think we can get an arche straight out of that there. A factory farm is a large-scale industrial operation that houses thousands of animals raised for food, such as chickens, turkeys, cows, and pigs. For the factory farming system to work, it needs high volumes of cheap animal feed, as well as antibiotics and pesticides to mitigate the spread of disease exacerbated by the overcrowded living conditions. Animals who are confined to a small area and physically restrained to control or limit movement. Food is supplied inside and is characterized by high concentrations of protein. The animal and dairy industry is no longer what it used to be. Organic farming that consists of naturally fed animals alongside the use of natural substances is now very hard to find. This is mainly due to biotech corporations squeezing smaller organic farmers out of the market with their corrupt legal powers and their sinister tactics to bring local family farming to its knees. Small farms frequently have little opinion but to either intensify their own production or to go out of business. Claims that we need to massively increase the amount of food that we produce to feed a growing world population are increasingly common, but these claims have been based on an inaccurate calculation and assumption about further increasing unhealthy levels of meat and dairy consumption. A variety of methods are used to maintain a factory farmed animal's health, including growth hormones and antimicrobial agents. Often, these systems employ breeding programs to produce more productive animals suited to the cruel, confined conditions. Now, some of the facts and main issues that affects the animal because of factory farming are: animals are fed and sprayed with huge amount of pesticides and antibiotics, which can remain in their bodies and passed on to the people who eat them, creating serious health hazard for humans. The beaks of chickens, turkeys, and ducks are often removed in factory farms to reduce excessive feather pecking and cannibalism seen among stressed, overcrowded birds. A typical supermarket chicken today contains more than twice the fat and about a third less protein than 40 years ago. 2 out of every 3 farm animals in the world are now factory farmed. Confining so many animals in one place produces much more waste than the surrounding land can handle. As a result, factory farms are associated with various environmental hazards such as water, land, and air pollution. The pollution from animal waste is known to cause respiratory problems, skin infections, nausea, depression, and even death for people who live near factory farms. Dairy cows typically live to a third of their Cows typically live to the third of their lactation before being culled. Naturally, a cow can live for up to 20 years. Pig, chicken, and cattle waste has polluted 35,000 miles of river in 22 American states and contaminated groundwater in 17 states. Egg-laying hens are sometimes starved for up to 14 weeks, exposed to changing light patterns and given no water in order to shock their bodies into molting, a usually natural process by which worn feathers are replaced. It is common for 5 to 10% of hens to die during the forced molting process. Worldwide, about 70 billion animals are reared for food each year. Now, in addition to poisoning your own body with foreign substances and GMOs, which is genetically modified organisms, different strains of bacteria, support of factory farming is destroying and polluting the planet, not to mention the funding of our own oppression and keeping the insane corporations in power. Factory farming has adverse effects as it encourages a high demand of synthetic substances such as GM, genetically modified soy protein feed for animal bulking, and other oil-based products. Livestock production uses 70% of all available agricultural land and consumes about 40% of the world's grain harvest and uses 8% of the global human water supply. Most of the animal breeds used in factory farming are specifically bred to breed in large quantities of meat and for their meat and for dairy products. Producing 1 kilogram of meat through the typical industrial methods, for example, requires 20 kilograms of feed for beef, 7.3 kilograms for pork, and 4.5 kilograms for chicken. The feed is so modified and toxic that a large majority of the animals develop organ failure, liver cancers, tumors, and with no testing or thought to the true effects on the human body. A recent United Nations report concluded that a global shift towards a vegan diet is necessary to combat the worst effects of climate change. The United Nations is not alone in this analysis. A staggering 51% or more of the global greenhouse gas emissions are caused by animal agriculture, according to a report published by the World Watch Institute. Now, researchers at the University of Chicago concluded that switching from a standard American diet to a vegan diet is more effective in fighting the is more effective in the fight against climate change than switching from a standard American car to a hybrid. A German study conducted in 2008 concluded that a meat eater's diet is responsible for more than 7 times as much of the greenhouse gases emissions than a vegan's diet, and you can find that information sourced from PETA directly, PETA.org. The overconsumption of pork. Now, many people across the world consume 3 square meals a day with the intention of fueling their bodies and absorbing nutrition that is adequate for their vitality. The problem is that these 3 meals are increasingly becoming more processed than they are natural. Who said that the human organism needs 3 dense meals to run optimally? The truth is that many people are actually eating themselves to death. The result can easily be seen within the explosion of sickness and disease figures becoming like a plague on the planet. Many are not in good health and fail to make the connection between what they eat and their health. They are therefore destined to a life of ill health and fatigue. Much of this problem is due to an ignorance of diet, health, and human body. People fail to realize that they are much more than just the body, and they are running around chasing externals in search of a better life. Medical sciences and doctors have only been able to accomplish the curing of some diseases, but the underlying root of the problem is never really addressed. Western medicine is designed to react to an illness instead of actually helping one prevent an illness, treating the effect rather than the cause, which is exactly where the problem lies. Most people recognize what poisons do to their body. For example, if you were to consume cyanide, you know you would die. Many parents will tell their kids to eat their vegetables, but the broader connection to the long-term effects of a nutritionally poor diet is never actually established. Even in the Bible, a set of dietary rules were established, setting the basis for which creatures were designed to be eaten and for which were meant to be for other purposes. In the world today, there is an excessive overconsumption of dead animal products and modified meats. One of those meats being pork. Swine constitutes for a large portion of the menus in the UK and the United States. Bacon and pork chops being a large part of the standard diet. A lot of insight into a pig can be ascertained by observing what they eat and how they are raised. You may have heard the expression, "You are what you eat." And if you knew what a pig ate, you might find it a bit disturbing. The factory farm pig is fed harmful genetically modified feed and pumped full of antibiotics to stop it getting sick from the cannibalism that it endures when stuffed in an overcrowded surrounding. Farmed pigs are literally chewing each other to pieces as a result of fear and stress. The digestive system of a pig differs slightly from that of a cow, as it is a system not designed to filter out the toxins that are consumed. Instead, any harmful toxins work their way through the animal and they are deposited into the animal's flesh, especially into its fat. The pig is actually able to sustain a very high amount of toxicity, and for this reason the farmers/corporations purchase garbage as the rotten meat and vegetables to feed them, as they can easily be sustained by that. The pig has no detoxification mechanism within the digestive system that can remove the consumed toxins and the host of parasites that can thrive internally. The metabolism and assimilation of a pig's digestive system is much faster than that of other animals. A cow can assimilate and digest food around 12 to 24 hours, giving time for detoxification, which in turn prevents harmful parasites from infiltrating the bloodstream and burying itself into the flesh. But because the pig's fast assimilation process, most of the flesh takes form as fat because the muscle cannot gain the adequate nutrition that it needs for growth. Every animal has its unique purpose, and scavengers such as pigs are not designed to be eaten. They have been designed as a natural vacuum cleaners that will eat their own feces, urine, carcasses, and garbage if necessary. Consumption of such causes no harm to the animal, as that what nature intended for them to do. Okay, so pigs can eat that and that's fine. However, under the pig's hooves are sores that are designed to expel poison from the pig's body, which is why pigs are able to eat poisonous snakes. If these ducts became plugged, then the pig would have to be slaughtered and sent to market for before it contaminated other animals. Now, inside the pig is an abundance of parasites. For instance, the animal can sustain 19 different kinds of worms in its body. Some have minor effects on humans, but others last longer. The pork worm is contracted when you consume the meat. It contains something called the trichinine binding, or the I can't pronounce that. It's Trichinae, and it's a larvae. And once this meat has been digested in the digestive system, the larvae hatches and it grows into a full-on adult roundworm, and it holds the capability to produce offspring, and it can actually bury itself inside the intestinal wall. Now, the danger here is that these worms can actually be transported around the body via the lymphatic system, and they even bury themselves for years, and they have been known to find themselves into the brain. You can Google that. These infected larvae can actually experience a wide, so if you are infected by these larvae, you can experience a wide variety of symptoms, from abdominal discomfort, cramping, diarrhea, muscle pain, especially pains to do with breathing, chewing, and all of the large muscles. Okay, you can experience fever, and if the damage to the tissue is severe, long-term problems can actually be never-ending. Now, so-called experts argue that properly cooking pork at 167 degrees Fahrenheit will destroy the bacteria and parasites that are present in the meat. Most who cook pork, however, are not as careful as those conducting a laboratory study. Simple organisms such as these worms are remarkably resilient, so just cooking the meat does not necessarily make it safe. Inspection and governmental seals on pork do not remove the danger of worms, yet it is classified safe for consumption. Within the factory farming business, piglets are torn from their distraught mothers. After just a few weeks, their tails and the ends of their teeth are snipped with pliers whilst the males are castrated. No painkillers are administered to ease the suffering, and the pigs spend their lives in extremely crowded pens on tiny slabs of filthy concrete. When the time comes for a pig slaughter, many are forced onto transport trucks that travel them for miles through all different types of weather extremes. Many of them die on the way from heat exhaustion, or from frozen conditions inside of the truck. And according to the industry reports, more than 1 million pigs actually die in transport on the way to the slaughterhouse each year, and an additional 420,000 are actually crippled by the time they arrive at the slaughterhouse. Now, there is a quote from a Dr. Maurice C. Carter that says, "It appears that the legitimate demand that when man exchanges dollar for pork, that he should not do it on the basis that he might be purchasing his death warrant." And was there one more piece? There was one more piece that we're going to read. This is the metaphysical aspects and the metaphysical concept of animal production and animal consumption. Now, there is so much controversy and debate over whether or not the human organism was designed for consuming meat and animal products. Either way, one thing that is for certain is that the link between the overconsumption of processed toxic animal products and the dramatic figures of those who are falling sick are non-arguable. That's not a debate. Now, there is more to consuming factory farm animals than what meets the eye. As you know from reading the Spirit chapter, if you haven't read the book yet, we do delve deeper into that. Humans and animals alike have an energetic blueprint, an energetic body, and a counterpart that is not visible within the spectrum of the human sight. Many seem to think that the lower species of animals do not have a soul like humans, but this is unfounded. Even though it is the higher species of humans who seek the above the physical understanding of life, energetically and metaphysically, the animal and the human being have many sets of similar characteristics. The animal eats, you eat. The animal sleeps, you sleep. Okay? The animal mates, you mate. Okay? The animal defends, you defend. Okay? Many animals hold high amounts of compassion towards humans and have a similar emotions such as fear, love, resentment, and pain. Anger, joy, jealousy, all of these different emotions we can see portrayed in animals. Now, whilst animals experience the inhumane slaughtering process of the factory farming industry, they tolerate copious amounts of fear, which is stored up energetically within their being, alongside the releases of different stress hormones that are not only Whilst animals experience the inhumane slaughtering processes of factory farming, they tolerate copious amounts of fear, which are stored energetically within their being alongside the release of stress hormones that are not in the best interest of humans to consume. All of the painful lower vibratory emotions of the animal experience throughout slaughter are transferred into the energetic bodies and stored into the flesh. For this reason, many religious communities pray over their meat to remove the distorted spiritual aspect before consuming, but in the West, this is rare. Now, as if the consumption of chemical-laden animal products were not enough, this painful energetic counterpart that the average person may not consider or can comprehend is also present in the equation. What does this mean for those who are consuming meat on a regular basis? Eating meats that are saturated with the energetic component of suffering and fear means that you lower the vibratory energy and that is consistent being transferred. Eating meat that is saturated with an energetic component of suffering and fear means that low vibratory energy is constantly being transferred onto your own energetic body and state of being, therefore acting as a heavy anchor on your vibrational energy, and it is never destroyed and it can only be transferred. An important goal for your personal development is working towards gaining mastery over and transcending over lower vibratory emotions and fear-based states of being that you may face. Your natural state is complete fairness and love, but retaining that state is a challenging task for every human being on the planet, and they have to embrace it. When you are consistently consuming foods that hold a low negative vibratory vibration, your body and spirit cannot experience the finer, more subtle vibrations. Your luminous energy body becomes burdened whilst your physical body becomes denser. Now, there is more to that section, but I feel like I've probably had you here for long enough today. So if you are interested in getting a copy of the YUSA Guide to Balance, Mind, Body and Spirit, you can head over to Amazon, okay, or you can message me directly and I can provide you with the link. But peace and more powers, Uncle Joss and them. Thank you for your time, your attention and your focus. One more time, let me say thank you to all of the Patreons, because of course if it was not for you, this would not be possible. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be speaking to you very, very soon.